12 minutes that we have. And she's a very detailed person, so she's coming up. She's probably already outlined everything. Let me introduce Sister Sheena to you. Sister Sheena was Sister Sheena Crawford and her son, Joseph. And we're proud of Joseph. He's such a wonderful, handsome, well-mannered young man. And so good morning, Mr. Joseph. How are you this morning? Good. Praise the Lord. Let me share this with you. I met Sister Sheena when I first took my previous responsibility. She had been recently baptized by Pastor John Boston. And she could not find her place in the church.
You're taking my whole thing.
Am I taking
Yeah.
Am I taking your whole thing?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
bit.
Your pastor will quit and let you tell your own words, okay? So anyway, Sister Sheena, take it away.
Yeah, so happy Sabbath, everyone, and happy Sabbath if you're online. I thought that I was going to take a little bit of time. I told Paul maybe like 2 to 5 minutes, but after I prayed about what to share, I decided to share my own testimony in regards to soul winning, and that might take a little bit more time. So I'm glad I at least have 12 minutes. Thank you. So I also made notes on my phone because I want to make sure I stay on track and I don't want to go too long. So I want to start off with 10 years ago, and this won't be a long story. I'll speed it up real quick. But 10 years ago, God started doing a tremendous work in me. And he led me to change initially how I dressed. I remember my friend came to my house and she was looking in my closet, and I was trying to describe to her how I felt God leading me to dress. I started describing like the shoes and the skirts, and she was like, I think I understand what you're saying. And then God also led me to a vegan diet, and I'm the only person in my family that's vegan. But then he started to lead me to keep the commandments. The first commandment that he told me was honor your father and your mother. And I was like, Lord, I feel like I am honoring my father and my mother, so what should I be doing? And he said, you need to show them that they're valued. You need to show them that they matter. And so I started working on that. And then the next commandment that he told me was to keep the Sabbath. And so as he just stated, Pastor Thomas just stated, I was at a non-denominational church. It was called New Birth. That was like my second family. I had my food in the refrigerator, so if I didn't have time to go home, I would just go to church and just eat there. But that's where all my friends were. That was like my life. And so when God told me to keep the Sabbath, I was like, we don't talk about the Sabbath at New Birth. I don't know anything about the Sabbath. And so, I lost my place, sorry. Oh yeah, so this is where I need your help. So I was like, I don't know anything about the Sabbath. So I went to Handy Dandy Google. And anytime I say Handy Dandy, I like all of you to just say Google. So I went to Handy Dandy and I Googled, what is the Sabbath? And what came up was rest. And I was like, okay, that's easy. I can definitely rest. And so I was like, all right, it's Tuesday. I don't have a lot planned today. I'm going to go ahead and rest today. And God started correcting me. And mind you, this is all over like a year or 2 year time frame. It wasn't like back to back. So God started correcting me. He showed me in Genesis 2:3. He said, it's on the 7th day. And I was like, okay, I can do the 7th day. You want me to rest on the 7th day? So I started resting on Saturday. And then he corrected me again. He said in Isaiah 66:23, it's from evening to evening or moon to moon. And I was like, okay, so it's Friday evening to Saturday evening. I can do that too. I can rest on that day. And then I was still going to New Birth at this time. So I'm still going to the Sunday church, but I'm resting on the Sabbath. And he took me to Leviticus. When I say he, I mean God. He took me to Leviticus 23:3, and I remember reading it, and it said something, 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 holy convocation, something, something. And I paused and I said, hold on, let me go back. Holy convocation. What is that exactly? What is convocation? So I went to Handy Dandy and I Googled convocation meaning, and it said gathering. That's when I was like, hold on. We're supposed to be gathering on the Sabbath and not Sunday. So here I am, still going to New Birth, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and try to find a church that gathers on the Sabbath. And so I found a church called Vineyard. And Vineyard is a Sunday church, but they had service on Saturday at 7 p.m. So I started going there, and I had an issue, which all of you probably will know that I ran into. It's winter time, it's 7 o'clock, and I'm like looking at my watch, and it's not Sabbath anymore, in the winter time. So I'm like, this isn't gonna work. So I went ahead and went to Handy Dandy, and I Googled churches that keep the Sabbath, and obviously the Seventh-day Adventist Church came up. So I started just visiting the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and at this time I was also looking to buy a house. And I remember my agent, he was like, you want to look at this house? And I'm like, I don't want this house. It had dark green carpet from every inch of the house. It was very outdated. And I told my agent, if I get it, I want them to give it to me for $30,000 less than the offering. If they give that to me for that price, I'll go ahead and get that house. And obviously God was like, I want her in that house. Give it to her for $30,000 less than the offering. And when me and my son moved in, I had a neighbor knock on the door. And she was like, I just want to let you know that your garage is up. And I was like, oh, I'm about to leave. I'm about to go to an event. And she was like, oh, okay, I'm about to leave too. So I go to this event about 5 minutes after she leaves. And here she is at the Seventh-day Adventist event. And I'm like, and you probably know her. Her name is Teresa Jackson. She goes to this church. And I'm like, God obviously wanted me in that house because he wanted me to have a SDA neighbor. And I just felt like that was confirmation for what God was telling me to do. And so I was like, let me go to a service. And during this service, they just happened to be giving away free mission trips to Haiti. And so the pastor's like, who wants to go to Haiti for free? And obviously everybody's raising their hand because who don't want to go to Haiti for free? And he chooses a woman, and he's like, all right, we have one more, but I'm not going to choose them. I'm going to have that woman choose them. And so he's like, who wants to go to Haiti? I'm like, no one knows me here, but I want to go to Haiti. So I raise my hand, and everybody's raising their hand. And she looks around the room, and she just keeps looking. And then she looks at me, and then she points. And I was like, and she was like, yeah, you. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was another just confirmation that God was sending me to the right place. And that woman was Clarice Williams. She also goes to this church. And so during the whole transformation, though, I decided that, this is what God is telling me to do. As I was looking at things online, I was like, this all lines up with what God was teaching me already, like the vegan diet and the dress, how I should dress. I'm like, there's people out there like me. That's awesome. So I was very excited to come to the church. But like I said, my old church was like my family. They were very, very concerned. And so there was a lot of criticism. Some of them said, and I'm just going to be really honest, as Pastor Thomas has stated, some of them said that I would fall into legalism and lose my salvation. Some of them said that I was joining a cult. Some of them, I remember about 15 young adults, like, came around me and they're like, Sheena, we just want to pray for you. They were very concerned about me that I was coming to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And so it was challenging. I really didn't have any support. Everyone was saying, you need to stay here. So it was very new for me. Everything was very new. The hymns were new. We didn't sing hymns at my old church. The kneeling for prayer was new. We didn't kneel for prayer at my old church. So it was very, very different. It was something that I had to get accustomed to. So at this point, though, as hard as it was for me to make that transition, I had to do what God was telling me to do. And so I went ahead, and it was a little difficult, feeling like I was the only one there, coming from such a strong-knit family at my old church. But I have since then found another strong-knit family in the SDA church, and I'm just so grateful for that. And so I share all the blessings that God has given me ever since I started coming to the SDA church and keeping the Sabbath. And I share it with my friends and family. And so many of them say that they are convicted to keep the Sabbath. They're at the point where I was, though. Like, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was like, so when do you rest? Because she's busy. She's just always all around. And she was like, oh, my Sabbath is Monday. And I was like, I get it. I was there. I get it. And I think you're going to get here at some point. So I share all that to say that first, there are a lot of false understandings about the SDA church, especially on handy dandy. And so I do also believe that God is going to start bringing a lot of people into the Seventh-day Adventist church that weren't Seventh-day Adventists before. And so we need to be prepared to receive them. I think the nurturing ministry is very vital in that, and I think that we all have a role in that too, just being nurturing, being welcoming, just smiling. If we see someone we don't know, just don't walk past them and just act like they don't exist. Acknowledge their presence. We don't have to have a full conversation like, how many brothers and sisters do you have, or anything like that. It can just be, oh, welcome, nice to see you. Thank you for visiting. The nurturing ministry or the greeters aren't the only ones that have to say welcome. If we see them and we don't recognize their faces, we can just say welcome, thank you for joining, we're happy that you're here, and just smile. All right, thank you. Sorry, I don't know how much time I took, but